Welcome to the carnage.
And welcome back to the Carnage. I'm Mr. Carnage. And have you been thinking lately, with all the events going on about leaving the left? That's what today's going to be about. We're going to watch some videos of people doing just that. And from a moderate's perspective, I just kind of thought I would, before we got in the videos, kind of talk about my stance on it and why I completely understand why people, specifically now after recent events, have decided that the left is, no longer uh, a place that they could be. And for a better part of a decade, this is before the Charlie Kirk and the Irania thing and all that, was men were leaving the left in droves because the party itself became, at some point at the turn of the second term of Obama, a very anti-male dominated party. And what I mean by that is that the more and more the party began to really swing way left and completely eradicate the moderate side of the Democratic Party, was that the men that were in that specific space no longer had a party. They just pulled the rug out from under them. They had, at that point, no other choice. It was almost they were forced to be either a moderate or a conservative. And the male voting populace for the last three elections now has more or less swung that way, because of that the party really pushing for agendas that were anti-male. And over the last 3 or 4 years, you've really seen that amped up tenfold. So a lot of people after that, and then into more modern recent events, people have been really leaving the left for that reason. And then it was a catalyst here with the Charlie Kirk situation that I think really pushed those other people that were kind of hanging on the fence for the last, election or two, really over the edge. And so a lot of these people are like, we're done. We're no longer, part of the left. We can't tolerate the party anymore. And rightfully so. I mean, the left has become a cesspool of just intolerable fuckheads who would rather, have some ridiculous political agenda that makes no sense to, most average normal thinking people. And it's like they, preach, inclusivity and, peace and love, and yet they're really not about that life at all. They're think like me, dress like me, be like me, or else. And so we're going to watch some videos here of these people who, you know, pretty much are done with that and don't want no part of it and moving on.
You know what really blows me about liberals, and this is coming from somebody that used to be a hardcore fucking liberal and leftist, is that y'all really follow trends and like fads to give a fuck about, right? You're all up in arms about Gaza. What's happening in Gaza is nothing short of a genocide. I agree with you. I don't think it should be fucking happening. But what about what's happening in the US? And this is coming from somebody. I was a foster kid. I aged out of foster care. I have been homeless in California. I have lost people to overdoses. I have lost people to being murdered. I have lost people to suicide. Like I have lost people to real life shit in our own fucking country. I've been through more pain and trauma than you can even fucking wrap your head around. And where's the riots for that? Like, where is y'all giving a fuck about that?
Yeah, and they don't. And that's the thing. The left's agenda is specifically right now. I mean, you can say the LGBTQ community is their highest function of, political agenda right now, and being, pro-choice. And those are the two biggest talking points for the left. But uh, I guess it makes no sense to me in the sense that if they're pro-choice, which is fine, I'm not saying anything against that, but if that's your stance, then why would it be you want to eliminate the male perspective, the men in the party entirely, and want to foster a fatherless, situation in your home? It makes absolutely no sense to me. It's like they just say shit to say shit, if that makes sense.
Like, I know some liberals, they're great fucking people. They give a fuck. They give back to the community. They have fucking common sense. But most of you sit up here on the fucking internet all day talking shit to people because they don't agree with you, but don't give a fuck about anybody else around you. You just want to follow the fucking hate train, and you don't have a singular fucking brain cell and nothing to fucking stand on. You haven't struggled a day in your fucking life and don't know what it's like to even fucking struggle. And you want to sit up here and make a mockery of someone's passing. It's absolutely fucking disgusting and embarrassing, and that's why so many people have left being a Democrat and a liberal. That's because you guys are fucking hateful. You literally preach against being hateful, and then you're fucking hateful. Like, be for fucking real.
Yeah, no, she's right. And like I said, I mean, I'm a moderate. I'm in the middle. I don't, you know, claim either party. To be honest with you, I never have been more political than I have over the last, couple years, and that's really what swung me that way. In all fairness and honesty and transparency, yeah, 15 years ago, I was a moderate Democrat, and it was about, like I said, the second term of Obama, where I really started to see the party, swing to like far left, like way, way far left. And I'm standing there in the middle, and I just am like, okay, I'm not going that way. You guys are way the fuck over there. I'm not. No, no, I'm not going that way. And so I stayed in the middle. And the really only thing that separates me from, I guess, anybody else is my stance on, abortion and guns. And my stance on those two things is what keeps me in the middle. I believe wholeheartedly in the Second Amendment, but I also believe that, as far as abortion goes, that men more or less should not have a say in female reproductive rights and then what they're allowed to do with their body. And the reason why, for y'all jump on my shit, is I look at it this way. If we as men, when we were born and they circumcise us, we don't have a say in that. So already men have, in some way, our reproductive body, mutilated at birth. And we ourselves don't have a say in that. But what if they were to also, when they circumcised us, they were to, give us a vasectomy, a reversible one, and told us that we couldn't, you know, have children until we got a job, we were stable, those things. So I look at it that way. Like, if that was forced upon us men, I don't think any of us would agree with that. So, and I definitely don't think that a woman should have any say whatsoever in a man's body either. So that's my stance on it. Those are the only two things separating me. Other than that, very middle.
Leaving the Democratic Party was one of the best decisions I ever made. Y'all, I still got chills. I just hung up with one of my friends. We have not talked since election time. She didn't like who I voted for. I didn't like who she voted for. So we went our own separate ways. So I haven't talked to her since like the end of last October. Y'all, tell me why she just called me. Breaking down, crying. I'm like, what's wrong? She was like, I encountered a demon last night. So she said she joined some type of left group on Facebook of other people with the same political beliefs as her. They get together, they go protest together, XYZ. She said last night they got together to go celebrate the unaliving of Charlie Kirk. So y'all, she said they got to the
right there in itself, the story she's telling, just that part alone is enough for you to know exactly kind of where this is going. If you're in a group and you join a group of, like-minded thinking people where your sole purpose was to go celebrate somebody's demise, not only does that make you like a sick fucking bastard, in my opinion, but where along that way would a normal thinking human being not just say, what is going on here? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Like, I might not have agreed with the man, but I'm not going to celebrate the man's demise, right? So this tells you how fucking far gone these people really are.
One of the people's house, they was sitting there drinking, chilling, smoking. She said they was sitting there like talking about how they was happy that he was gonna laugh. She said she got this weird feeling in her chest like, y'all, this is not right. We should not be talking like this. She said one of the guys from the group, she said his ass turned black. He got up, rushed her up against the wall, had his hands around her neck, telling her it's right. He got what he deserved. She'll be next. Harris will be president. Y'all, she said it looked like it was a literal demon coming out of him, y'all. She said her first thought was to just react and say, you're right, I was just joking. She said because the other people in the group was just standing there like, yeah, you're right, like, you better agree that he got what he deserved, y'all. She said when she left, she said she played it off, stuck around for a little bit longer. She said when she left, she got home and started praying so bad. Y'all, tell me why she said she started spitting up green stuff.
So I mean, whether I believe the story or not, I mean, it seems like dramatic for effects or whatever. I'm not going to get into the whole spirituality, side of it because again, I go back to I'm not really a religious person. Are there evil motherfuckers in this world? Absolutely, absolutely. And even without the dramatic effect of going fucking exorcist, right, spitting up green pea soup or whatever the fuck. Um, there's evil people, and I could see somebody pressuring another human being into being like, no, you're going to agree with me or else. And that's really how far the left has really, really gone. Is that's exactly their mindset. Like, you either fucking think like me, you agree with me, and you do not in any way, shape, or form challenge my echo chamber or else.
Said she got that out of her system like it was the worst thing she did, y'all. It's like she want to hang out with me tomorrow, but a part of me is scared. I don't know if all of those demons is fully out of her.
After what I've seen today on the internet, on X, on TikTok, on everywhere, between people saying they're leaving the left after the response to Charlie Kirk, and the people who have caused those people to leave saying they're truly vile, evil nonsense, the Democrat Party's dead. It's done. It's over. Take a poll and check and see, because the last time y'all checked, it was like 16%. Today, it's in the single digits. It has to be. After what I've seen, from the truly evil things that people can say, to those on the left that were hanging on, hoping for a better tomorrow, and deciding, nope, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. The left has no party. It's the party of vitriol and death and destruction and evil. These people are truly low IQ, brainwashed individuals. That's it.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know where she got the 16% from. I mean, obviously, if you go back to any of the election numbers, I mean, half the country is, voting for Democratic candidates. But do I think that number is going to decrease possibly exponentially because of the recent events? Absolutely. I think that like she said, there were a lot of people on the fence. And I've said in previous videos that it's the people in the middle, the moderates, that really swing elections, right? And the people in the middle, they typically wait until the very last minute to make up their mind who they're voting for, because they don't vote party lines. They don't vote just specifically because they belong to the left or the right. They vote based on the character of the candidate. And so with the moderate thinking person, that's typically how they vote. They typically don't vote for party lines. Now, you'd say, well, why did they vote for Biden? I think what that was, honestly, is going back to that election specifically. There, for some reason, was a massive number of younger people voting than there were before. And I think it was simply because they disliked Trump. And I feel like a lot of the middle voters were just, they had like Trump fatigue, right? They were just like, I'm tired of listening to all the media. I'm tired of hearing Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, and that's why they voted that way. But I know that a lot of people who did vote for Biden, within 6 months, they were like, "Man, what the fuck did I do?" you know. So it's never good to vote for emotion or how you're feeling at the time. It's best to vote with confidence and make sure that you're voting for who you think yourself is going to do a better job for the country, and not vote because you're tired of somebody or you're sick of the media saying this or any of that, because that's never a good way to vote.
Let me just say it now. In 3 years, I am not voting for Democrats.
As a registered Democrat, all I have to say is the Charlie Kirk shooting just proves that we are the worst, man. My party is worse. I got people celebrating, hoping that he dies. Where's the empathy? Where's the respect, man? It's disgusting. It's disgusting, truly. And the fact of the matter is this: he was a father, and whether or not I agree with his political opinions, all he truly wanted to do at the core was see this country be the best, and to see people just be blatantly disgusting. Man, we're the worst, man. We're horrible.
Yeah, no, I agree with being horrible. And the reason why is because the left has this habit of taking, polarizing people that are in the conservative space or even in the moderate space, and they try to demonize them as much as possible. Oh, they're a fascist. They're a Nazi. They're racist. They're misogynist. They're bigots. They're, fucking assholes. And when that kind of media is, in your echo chamber, and that's all you're hearing, Charlie Kirk's an asshole, Charlie Kirk's an asshole, and that's all you're hearing, you begin to think, oh, well, why is all of these people saying this? This must be true. He must be an asshole. And I am not excusing anybody, because what you need to do is you need to pull yourself out of that echo chamber, and you need to do research yourself and be like, is this person really what the media is painting this person to be? Right? And I did that. I've done that with Ben Shapiro, which I never really liked myself. But I listened to some of his stuff, and, he makes good points on certain things, and I don't hate the man. I don't wish ill will on him at all. And I did the same for Charlie Kirk. I watched some of his stuff because I kept hearing that he was a white supremacist, and I'm completely against white supremacy, period. Right? I don't want Nazis, walking around my country. And I could not find, over the course of 2 years, one video, not one, that would make me think that Charlie Kirk was a racist or a white supremacist at all. So they're just full of shit. But that's the media for you, man. They really fucking hone in on these echo chambers, and they just keep feeding you this vile, and people just eat it up, and it's sad.
The death of Charlie Kirk has actually fundamentally changed the rules of the game, at least for me. I actually have never uploaded this type of content specifically to this TikTok page, and I'm actually resurrecting it because of the death of Charlie Kirk. Because back in 2020, I used to be on the other side. I voted for Joe Biden back in 2020, and then 4 years later, I voted for Donald Trump. And it's insane to me that a political party that says that they have my best interests in mind as an African American are willing to go to no end to destroy not only the things that I stand for, but the things that I believe in as a Christian, as a husband, as a father, and as a fellow American who loves this country and believes that the United States still is and has the potential to be the greatest nation on the face of the earth. And there are those people that are out there that will sit back and they will laugh and they will ridicule and they will judge, even though they say that is not what they stand for. And at this point, anything that they say, anything that the media says, believe the opposite, because that's where the truth actually lies. They tell you a vaccine is good for you, it's not. They tell you that Joe Biden is a good president, he wasn't. They tell you that Donald Trump is Hitler, he's not. They tell you that they're there to support the migrants and the Hispanics and the African Americans, but they're not. They say that they care about the working class, but they don't. Anything that they say, flip it upside down, and that's the actual truth. Think about it.
I mean, to a lot of what he said, yeah, I do agree that a lot of it is just political talking points for the Democratic Party. And it's good to see a lot more, African Americans like waking up and seeing that the Democratic Party has been using them for decades and abusing them for decades for votes and using them as their main political talking point, right? And then using shit like inclusion, right? Like, oh, we're the party of everybody and we're inclusive and we want all of the minorities over here. But at the same time, they abuse the shit out of them for votes because they drag them through the mud. And then it's like they try to rile up the right wing people with that rhetoric. And then you probably hear a lot lately about like black fatigue, right? And it's because of stuff like that. It's because the left does shit like that. They push this fucking agenda to the mass media and the masses, and people just are like burnt the fuck out.
Got shot in the fucking neck. That was the last bastion. I can't be a liberal no fucking more. You see the fucking comments? I hope the gun is okay. The same fucking people asking for moral decency. I cannot in good faith align myself with you guys anymore. I once had a headache. You'll be alright. Cause you don't agree with him politically? Okay. Whatever happens next, in retaliation, whoever did that I hope they throw the whole fucking book at you. The whole fucking book at you. While I did not agree with his views, when you put violence in the fucking middle of the equation, all this shit goes out the window. Everything that you stand for goes out the fucking window. Who's next? Candace Owens? Take that shit as a warning. Stop doing the fucking public panels, bro. Stop doing all that. Oh, what do you think about him? These people are fucking insane. Oh, well, both sides are... No, these people are fucking insane. Dude, things are gonna get very... Do not speak politics at all in public. Do not do that. These people are fucking unwell. Protecting fucking dickhead stabbing Ukrainian girls in a bus. Protecting fucking shooters just because they think they're the other gender. You people make me
There you go. I mean, a much stronger sentiment than the other videos that we saw, but something that people are feeling nonetheless. Okay. And again, I went through this journey myself. I was like scared of it. I'm like, how am I going to, I can't vocalize anything. I'm going to be so judged. And if I leave this group of people, I'm leaving everything that I know. I'm leaving all my friends. I'm leaving all of this stuff. No, it's okay. It's actually okay. It's actually okay to have decency in this moment and look at those who are being indecent and say, you know what? That is not who I am. And that's not the group that I want to be a part of. And you may not know where you want to be. And it, we don't even need like labels anymore at this point, but you can know that this is not right.
No, she's right. You don't, I mean, you really don't have to be like, well, if I'm not left, then I have to be right. That's not it at all. There is a gray area. There is a middle. And I know there's not a lot of people like myself in the middle anymore, but we do exist. There is some of us still here, where we do see the crazy on every angle, right? I mean, I'm not saying that conservatives haven't done stuff before too. I mean, it was just a few months ago that one of them shot a couple of Democratic politicians, right? And they're saying that that Evergreen high school shooter was, I guess watching a bunch of, rhetoric and bullshit. They're not saying he was right wing or anything. They're just saying that he had some views on gays and transgenders that kind of aligned. But either way, that doesn't matter. People do crazy shit because they do crazy shit. I mean, you can blame it definitely on politics, sure. I mean, that's a really easy scapegoat. But at the end of the day, it's not a party that made you do what you did. You did what you did because you're a crazy fucking bastard, and that you couldn't take the politics or the spiritual or, you know, anything in doses where you're like, you know, thinking like a normal human being, right? Where you see something that angers you, most people don't go, oh, I'm really mad at that, I'm gonna go fucking shoot some. Like, most people don't do that. Like, a large majority of people don't do that. Most people know how to, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, come to terms, basically. Come to terms with their own anger, right? They're like, you know, I'm mad about this, but what am I going to do about it, right? Like, I'm not going to freak out and flip out and go, you know, shoot up a place, which is stupid. So you can blame a party, sure, and that's fine. You can be like, well, it was because they were on the right or they were on the left. But when it comes down to it, is more the crazy shit happening on the left? Absolutely.
This does not sit well with you. And I'm seeing leftists who are vocalizing that this is not right. Parker, who's a young leftist debater I spoke about in a video recently, has put out a message saying, you know what, if you are calling for this violence or you're accepting of this violence, unfollow me. And shout outs to leftist individuals who are saying things like that, because it is so necessary in this time to call these people out. And if you're struggling internally with everything that's happening right now, you're certainly not alone. And it's okay to leave these people alone. It's okay to leave these people behind. It's okay to admit that you were on the wrong side of things. And that was like a struggle for me. It's like two of the hardest phrases, I guess, to say in this world right now, or I don't know, and I was wrong. Nobody feels comfortable saying that. And I will tell you wholeheartedly, 10 toes down with my whole chest, I was wrong, okay, when I was on the left. I was full of hatred, and nowhere near the hatred that I'm seeing online right now. I would have never said anything near what I'm witnessing right now from leftists when I was a leftist. So think about how bad it has become. And
I mean, she had fucking, she had, you know, pictures to back up, you know, her claim, definitely. Yeah, I'll do the same. I was wrong for a long time, and I feel like a lot of people are, you know, wrong in the sense at some point in time. You're never going to be right 100% of the time. I mean, that's never going to happen. And to say one side is right 100% of the time and the other side is wrong 100% of the time, that's not true. That's not true at all. Everybody, every party, every company, every football team, you know, I can go on and on, has been wrong at some point, right? And it's okay. That's fine. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to make mistakes. It's not okay to, you know, radicalize yourself and then think that those mistakes, you know, are going to be covered up by you doing some crazy shit, because that's not going to make things better. It's just going to make it worse.
In the years after me deciding to leave the left, this is a new level. This is a new level. And if you're looking at this new level, this new human low, when it comes to the response to death and tragedy and a gruesome assassination, and you're going, I was wrong to be a part of this group, by all means, like, shout it from the rooftops and be proud to exclaim that statement for everybody to hear. It is okay to be wrong. It's in fact a gift to be wrong, especially when it's being wrong about something like this. And in fact, it proves that you are engaged with humanity, that you have compassion, that you have integrity, that you have a moral compass that is stronger than the judgment that is cast on you by the political left when you attempt to raise your hand and question them or to say they're doing something wrong. And I do posit to you that the group of people that is claiming to be anti-authoritarianism, anti-totalitarianism, anti-fascist is now cheering on the death of somebody who disagreed with them politically and is calling for the death of other individuals who would disagree with them politically. What does that mean for free speech, which is one of the first things attacked by totalitarian regimes? What does that mean about the congruence between their ideology and what they claim and how they actually live out their values? Do we really think that these individuals are tolerant? Do we really think that these individuals want to coexist when they are literally calling for the end of existence of people like Charlie Kirk, people who share his values and beliefs? I'm seeing them call for other conservatives to show up at college campuses so they can meet the same fate as Charlie Kirk. And if you're seeing that from from a group of people that you once liked, once associated with, and you don't want to be a part of it, then don't be a part of it. There is just so much hypocrisy. There's so much hatred, and it's so saddening to watch. And I think so many people are feeling this in their cores right now. And I'm like re-witnessing and sort of reliving the moment that I realized the left was not for me over and over again in everything that I'm seeing right now, in every single tweet, in every single post, in every single video of somebody cheering, dancing, laughing. I'm seeing and like looking back on that time in my life where I went, yeah, no, I'm in the wrong room. I'm not on the right side of history here. And I'm certainly not on the right side of my humanity and the feelings that I have right now. And sometimes it's just a whisper in the back of your head. And it's very easy to shut that up and continue on the side that you're on and continue doing what you're doing, no matter how destructive or distasteful it is. But listen to the whisper, guys. Listen to the whisper, because if the whisper is telling you shouldn't cheer on the death of your political opponents, the whisper is probably right. And yeah, I don't know. That's really all I have to say. I'd love to hear from people in the comments. If you are a left-leaning person now who's considering leaving the left, if you're somebody who has left the left, either right now or in the past due to something that you've seen, what was the turning point, honestly, for not even lack of a better word, that is the perfect way to put this. What was the turning point for you? And drop that in the comments down below. Let me know. If you are a leftist who disagrees with the celebratory response right now to Charlie Kirk's death, but you still remain on the left, please let me know your perspective down below. There is room for conversation. There is room for back and forth. That's what Charlie was trying to do in his day-to-day life. That is what we will try to continue to do on this channel and with everything that we do. So
yeah, she absolutely, I can tell, had that moment just by the way that she's talking about her experience. And I guess if you're calling it a whisper, like you have a whisper that's telling you that's wrong, you might have a bigger problem. Because me, on the seeing what my friend did when Charlie Kirk died, that wasn't a whisper. I mean, that was a straight scream in my face moment where I just looked at this person as a completely different human being than I had previous for all those years, where, I started questioning myself, like, were the signs there? Were the red flags there? Were there times where I should have walked away before that? And so I reevaluated that time and time. And I came to the conclusion that, yes, there were definitely moments where I allowed, my love for this person to cloud my judgment of the person that they are. And it was that moment after Charlie Kirk died where he was, celebrating and having a great old time, that every ounce of respect and admiration and brotherhood and everything that I felt for him was gone in an instant.
Let me know, and I will be reading that. And again, if you're leaving the left, welcome. I don't know what I'm welcoming you to, but a space of open conversation and free thinking. You are much appreciated here for doing something very difficult to do, especially in today's time, especially with how much judgment exists right now. And to the people who are responding in this despicable way, who are judging those who are leaving you behind, who are judging those who have their humanity intact, who are crying and sharing their sorrow, whether or not they agree with Charlie politically.
Hey, TikTok family. I just wanted to take a minute and talk to everybody here on TikTok about the hashtag Walkaway campaign. What is Walkaway? We are the largest national movement of former Democrats walking away from the Democrat Party. And we started on Zuckerberg's platform as a group. And since, everybody loves to share their videos now on TikTok, share their stories, as so many people on TikTok are sharing their story about leaving the Democratic Party, we want to encourage everyone here to use the Walkaway hashtag when you're sharing your story.
And that's the reason why I added this video. Was I actually looked into that. It originally started, I think, like 3 or 4 months ago. So this was even before Charlie Kirk happened. But it's grown massively since then. And so I thought I would add this, that, if you're out there right now and you're thinking, do I stay in a party that has completely villainized every, human being that they don't agree with? And should I walk away from a party that celebrates the death of another human being in front of their family, in front of innocent bystanders? And do I stay in a party where that was celebrated and it felt like a victory, whether it was a moral victory or a political victory. If you really got to question that, um, yeah, I seriously think that it's time that you maybe walk away from it, because uh, your humanity is definitely in question at that point. So, you can hashtag walk away. You could go to their website, or you could just comment here or on any other, platform that you feel comfortable. Um, but just know you're not alone. A lot of people are seeing what's going on and they don't feel comfortable with it. And that gives me some hope, at least for the future, that, humanity will always win out over evil. And I'm hoping that that's the case.
So if you're leaving the left, if you're walking away from the Democrats, if you're leaving liberalism, leftism, the mainstream media, we get it. So many of us have done it. Hundreds of thousands of people have joined Walkaway. But we want to encourage you, as you're sharing your stories and sharing your videos on TikTok, use the Walkaway hashtag and join our group on TikTok at Real Walkaway. That is our TikTok account for Walkaway. So use the Walkaway hashtag and keep sharing those stories. We love it.
Ooh, I like this question. So I think, like, of all the things going on politically, all of the political trends and, just basically everything happening right now, this is easily the most concerning. More particularly all the young men that are leaving the left and becoming more conservative, because that's a big group of people. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's all around surprising. What's fun about it is that there's a lot of different answers that you could point to. But one of the big things is that I think if there's one thing that men are bereft of in this country, it's community. Whether they admit it or not, it feels like they lack a sense of belonging.
She is on the right track. Yes. Men do value brotherhood. They do value male camaraderie, right? These are things that men do share. I mean, not to a degree like women, right? Where you all go to the bathroom together and all that weird shit. Like, that's not what men do. That's not a sense of brotherhood, right? What we mean by that is somebody who's like ride or die, who's going to be there for you. It's not even a talk about personal or emotional things. It's just some guy, brother, to be like, hey man, you want to go catch a game, you want to grab a beer, you want to do this, you want to do that. That's important to a man, absolutely. And I guess it's hard when you're on the left to have that, because unfortunately most men on the left are, simp cucks with, no masculinity at all, and you might as well go to a fucking ballet with those people. So why are a lot of men leaving the left? Well, that's a big reason. Is that on the left, it makes masculinity, they put it labeled as toxic, and that it's a problem, and that you shouldn't be this way, and you're base instinct, and you're a shithead, and this, that, and the other. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. And I'm not saying like you should go to the other extreme. Like us growing up, as kids, it was like, oh, you're gay, and so you'd be like, oh, I got to do something to prove my manhood, and then you do like a double backflip on a bike, and then fucking eat shit, and like you're like half dead, and your friend's like, I'm not saying go to that extreme. I'm just saying that men typically do not want to have relationships with other men where the man is more feminine than their wife. That just isn't how that works at all.
Which leads me to one of the first reasons that I think men are leaving the left, and that's actually religiosity. I think the rise of Christian nationalism has given a lot of young men a sense of community that they feel like they didn't have before, and with a lot of modern Christianity comes conservative ideals. It's the same reason that men fall victim to a lot of manosphere videos, inceldom, things like that. It's because they want a sense of community, a sense of mentorship, like they belong somewhere and where things make sense.
And just so you men know, I mean, absolutely, my community is open to all men. That's what this channel is mostly about, is having a community and a space for men to be, how they want, without any kind of judgment. And just so you know, in my community, I do moderate comments. So, if you're here and you're just trying to, be part of the community, and you're, collectively just here, and somebody's giving you a hard time, trust me, it'll get handled. But that's what this channel is about. So you're more than always welcome to be here, and I do appreciate you.
And religion offers that. It offers an explanation for the world and why the way that it is, and more importantly, one that's comfortable and doesn't require a lot of internal searching. It also gives them a sense of power and authority, which is comforting to anybody. And this is something I'm going to talk about a lot more in another video, where Christianity affects how you see authority and how that plays into your morals, right? But that's a longer video for another day. And all of this ties into another reason that I think men are leaving the left, and it has to do with masculinity and identity.
Damn, I just said that. It does. It has a big role to play in it, in the sense that the left deems male masculinity as toxic, and that they basically handed the party over to the LGBTQ community and then feminists. And so that's the driving force of the Democratic Party right now. And so most men who just want to live their life as a normal man don't want no part of it, because we're villainized. We're seen as the enemy of the party. So a lot of them, I don't even want to say that they left the left. I think the left left them. And that's really what happened.
I believe I saw a study somewhere that said that women, when describing what femininity means to them, they use positive terms such as caring, empathetic, creative, nurturing. You know, they use positive descriptive words to describe what femininity means to them. When men were asked the same question, they used negative descriptors, like not weak is a great example. And there's like two different categories of thought here. Number one, when men believe that masculinity is a lack of weakness, they kind of tend to equate that to a lack of empathy, right? In order to be a good leftist, you have to acknowledge empathy as a big part of your policy decisions. Caring for other people, even if the policy doesn't affect you personally.
And there you go. So caring for other people, if that was truly what the left was about, then they would have cared about what happened to Charlie Kirk and what happened to his family in the aftermath, instead of going on to Erica's social media, laughing at her and basically saying, hey, your husband's dead. That shit's funny. It's just vile, fucking vile behavior. And so, no, I don't think the left really cares, in my opinion, about empathy. They only care about getting their point across.
And Republicans have really been able to capitalize on this in their messaging, conveying that it's weak to be a liberal, that they're these spineless little, wimps who, are just bleeding hearts and hippies. And that doesn't resonate with a lot of young men, I think, who fall into this idea that masculinity means an absence of weakness. In addition to that, Republicans are very good at establishing an identity, right? It's really hard for there to be an identity that isn't like a caricature that the Republicans have painted of a leftist, what a leftist is, a positive identity for that. We're not good at that kind of universal messaging. Republicans are very good at messaging, and if you want a strong message, you have to establish a sense of identity. Republicans know who they are, and they talk about it all the time. We're strong, we're patriots, we love America. That's excellent messaging. And when you are someone who only describes a vast part of your identity through negatives, you will run into a bit of an identity crisis. You don't really know who you are. The right, unfortunately, provides a solution to that that's very easily accessible. It's an easy label that you can slip on, and they've packaged it in a way that's so neat and requires little to no thinking, and you've got an identity.
Well, I don't agree with a lot of what she's saying. The reason I added this video was simply I did watch the majority of it before grabbing it. Was she makes a good point about why men left the left, and I do agree with that. The Republican Party, for a large majority, right? They do want to incorporate the masculinity of men into their party, right? So it's like, that's why, we're red meat eating, gun toting, happy, Americans, right? And so young men are like, that sounds cool, versus the left, where it's all like, oh, you got to be kind of a wuss, and hug a tree and smell flowers and, get in touch with your feminine side. And so most men don't look at that and they're like, no, I'm good. So is that really true? I believe a large portion of it is. Yeah. I think that the right definitely does pander to men and masculinity a lot more than the left does. But if that was the case where the left cared, why would they be spending? I think there was like $30 to $50 million, and they're trying to like survey men between the ages of like 18 and 45, and they're like, so why don't you like the left? I mean, if they honestly cared, why, that was the case, I don't think that they would have let their party get that far.
Especially one that is absolved from blame and self-reflection, which is a very painful thing to do, and one that men are statistically, unfortunately, very not good at doing. And it's not their fault. They haven't been taught how to look internally and evaluate themselves.
Yeah, and that I also don't agree with. I feel like a lot of men actually are. I feel like every man at some point in the time, and you'll know when it happened. I bet you can even recall when it happened, where you went from being a boy and became a man. I mean, you probably remember that moment very well. And that takes a lot of self-reflection in that moment. It takes a lot of understanding, I have to put down my childish things. I have to stop thinking this way, and I need to grow up, and I need to start doing these things instead. So I don't agree with her at all. I think men are very good at self-identifying and being like, hey, this is what I need to do.
In a way that's meaningful. So what do we do? The unfortunate part of it is that the messaging has been conveyed that you basically, if you are a leftist, especially a female leftist, you just will not be able to reach these people. You are invalidated the second that you are what you are, as someone who's stupid and weak. The solution is going to come from traditional male leftists.
Why I am no longer on the left, even as a lesbian. And yes, I'm going to read what I wrote down because it's quite a list. It has been maybe half a decade, maybe even more, that I've decided to leave the left, and this is why. What I have observed is that the community pretends to fight for inclusivity, diversity, and freedom. But I've seen with my very own eyes for years now that realistically they fight for one-way thinking, the demonization of specific groups that are other than them, and the cancelization of freedom of speech.
Yeah, exactly. And I find it more than hilarious right now. The party of cancel culture is mad that the other party is now using their own weapon against them with cancel culture, getting people fired for cheering the death of Charlie Kirk. And I don't know how many videos I saw. They're like, oh, you guys talk so much shit about cancel culture, but you're using it now. It's like, well, fire with fire, pal. I mean, I don't know why I find that as fucking hilarious as I do, but I really do find it funny.
They say they care about human life and people who are victims of war, but advocate for the killing of the most vulnerable type of human life form in existence. They fight against the legalization of guns, but cheer when guns are used to assassinate a man who simply had a different opinion. They cancel free speech under the label of hate speech, when often enough, it's not hate speech, it's just speech they hate.
Absolutely. I think that sums up the left very well. Good job, young lady. I think you did, nail on the head there, man. So, and that's always been my problem for the last, 15 years that I've been away from the left, is that's been my biggest, absolute biggest problem with them, and why I've always had a problem with even thinking about going back, is that they are so good at manipulating people's words. And what they like to do is they'd like to give you a trigger word. They like to call you something, and it's while you're explaining your stance and your view, right? Where they're like, you're a racist. And you're like, no, I'm not racist at all. And here's my stance and why I'm not racist. I don't, think that any race is superior to the other of any kind. And then what they'll do is they'll switch that around on you, and they'll be like, so then you're a bigot, right? And that's the way they argue. I've noticed this ever since I've became very good at debating with them. That is what they do. They're almost like internet trolls. They like to try to, insinuate you are something to get an emotional response out of you, because the reason why they do that is that they want you to get mad so they can play the victim. And I've noticed this a lot. So they're like, see, got you, motherfucker. I'm now the victim. I have the moral high ground and you're the asshole. So that's how you argue with leftists.
Not to mention the complete lack of self-awareness to go from saying somebody is speaking hate speech and follow up with saying some of the most disgusting and degrading things to humans I have ever heard. Don't even get me started on the GoFundMe that was made for the murderer of that innocent girl.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. When I saw that, not to mention, I mean, the update from today of what I heard, I can't even remember his name because he's such a piece of shit. I don't even want to know his fucking name. But he isn't getting tried in a court of law where he's going to spend life in prison or the death penalty, which he deserves. Instead, they're sending him to a fucking mental hospital for an evaluation to be determined, and that's fucking bullshit.
There have been too many examples of narcissism, manipulative abuse, gaslighting, closed-minded and anti-growth promotions within the community that I'm very proud to say that as the first letter of the LGBT, being gay does not automatically mean that I have to share the same sickening, in my opinion, views as the left. Why would my sexuality, gender, race, or anything for that matter have to do with where I land politically? And quite honestly, I hear more LGBT members complaining about being misgendered than any other actual hate crime happening in the world.
Which isn't a hate crime. And that's the thing that I absolutely cannot fucking stand from the alphabet mafia, is that misgendering me is a hate crime. No, it's fucking not. It's words. Okay? You're either born with a hole or you're born with a pole. And if you look like you were born with either or, that's how I'm going to address you, because my eyes biologically see whatever the fuck you are.
If being misgendered is your main point of how you're being oppressed in this country, I would consider you to be very privileged, because there are actual, real issues that need healing in the world more than your gender pronouns. My mind, body, and soul knows where love is, and I do not feel that in the community. Yes, there are positive and negative on both sides, but overall, I have been my most mentally healthy, happy, and filled with self-love person since I decided to think more for myself and not allow others to dictate what I should and shouldn't believe in order to fit their agenda. It is getting painfully obvious now that no one is going to be fucking with that energy anymore, and you guys are about to lose a large percentage of your community. I'm already seeing it everywhere online. Hopefully this is a wake-up call. You all need to look inwards. There's no shame in realizing maybe there are some things inside of me that need to be looked at and healed in order to be the best version of myself, and also, therefore, better for the people that are around me.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. I mean, that's the majority of, this is just a small portion of the videos out there right now. You know, if you're interested in seeing more people, telling their story about why they're leaving the left, you got TikTok, you got YouTube, you got Facebook Reels, plenty of videos out there. And this is the funny thing about it, is that the majority of them almost say the exact same thing, which is the moment where they saw somebody in their life, a friend, a family member, somebody in their life celebrating Charlie Kirk's demise, was the moment they realized that the left was no longer for them. So the reason that's funny to me is that it goes to show you what this piece of shit did. Is he went out to kill Charlie Kirk for his, political views, his spiritual views, whatever, thinking that he's going to silence this man for good. And all he did was put a giant knife in the back of the Democratic Party. And he may very well single-handedly cost these people the next 2-3 elections. It's going to take a while for the Democratic Party to regroup, regain, refocus, and I don't think there's going to be any goodwill for them for a very long time. So it is what it is, and you reap what you sow. But I'll catch you all on the next video.